Have fun watching this cartoon. If you want to learn how to make one like it, stick around for the lesson afterward. Once there was a curve that didn't know what it was for. It tried to imitate other shapes. It really wanted to fit in. The curve gave up. One direction seemed as good as any other. But one day, what is that? It felt right, like the curve had always been there. And it was beautiful. Here's how to make a cartoon like the one you just watched using Apple Keynote. Read the Apple Keynote support pages for details about specific features. I'll show you how to use the 4 basic animation actions to make interesting and entertaining shots. The actions can be used on objects like shapes, groups, and images. To show you how to animate objects, we'll use our star from the cartoon, the troubled curve. Objects appear in the object list in stacking order. That means that in a shot, the first object in the list appears in front of the other objects, so it may overlap or hide them. The tools to animate objects are in the Animation panel. They're grouped in the Build-in, Action, and Build-out panels. This lesson focuses on the basic actions. We'll talk about build-in and build-out in later lessons. You can see the 4 basic actions by clicking on Actions. They are Move, Opacity, Rotate, and Scale. Each action has settings to control how they play when applied to an object. There are 2 common settings that apply to all 4 actions: duration and acceleration. Duration controls how long the action plays. Acceleration ramps up or ramps down the speed of the action. There are 2 other settings for the move action: position and align to path. Position sets the final location of the shape. Selecting align to path will cause the shape to adjust its angle as it moves along the path so that its center line aligns with the path. The only additional setting for the opacity action is opacity. There are 3 other settings for the rotate action: clockwise, counterclockwise, angle, and rotations. To get the object to rotate through an angle, say 30 degrees, set rotations to 0. Settings greater than 0 cause the object to spin through full revolutions. There are 2 other settings for the scaling action: scale and size. So you can animate a size change using a % in scale, or animate the change by setting the width or height. All scaling animation is proportional. That is, scaling is applied equally to the width and the height. Once you've attached an action to an object, the action appears in the Build Order panel, which you can see by clicking the Build Order button. This panel shows the order in which the actions will play. In it, you can control the time when each action plays. You can have the actions play at the same time or sequentially, and you can add delays to tweak when they play. The first action that will play is at the top of the list. To trigger the action automatically, select After Transition. There's lots of fun, cool things you can do with transitions, so they'll be in their own lesson. You can repeat an action after another action. Or actions can be combined so they play at the same time. Sometimes you'll have a shape that moves in one shot and then appears in the next shot. To make sure the shape is in its new location in the following shot, set the position using the position from the move. You can do something similar to adjust the angle of the shape from one shot to the next. It's helpful to understand that move, rotate, and scale animation actions are done in relation to the geometrical center of the object. For example, an object can only be rotated around its geometric center. There are ways to work around this limitation. They'll be covered in a future lesson. One handy feature is that you can copy the animations attached to an object and paste those animations on another object. You may have noticed that in all of our examples, the contours of the shapes did not change. That's because Keynote allows you to animate objects, but not the nodes that control the contours and not individual pixels. There are apps for that. We'll talk about it in other lessons. But you can still do tons of cool animations just by using move, rotate, scale, and opacity. Learning the 4 basic actions is a great way to understand animation, because all animated movements are some combination of them. The next time you're watching a cartoon, see if you can pick out what actions are used. Hope you enjoyed this Making Moments lesson. Our lessons are about making your own art. Like painting a picture, writing a poem, or composing a song, you can imagine and create cartoons all on your own. All cartoons on the Movies by Martino channel are made with Apple Keynote and Pixelfield KeyShape. For more tips, read the description. Subscribe and catch the next cartoon lesson. Movies by Martino.
Small movies.
Big fun.